A Drop at Home in the Divine Will. Drop Book Series 3, based on the writings of Luisa Piccarreta. Page 9. It may take some time to embrace suffering, but you have to do it. Keep at it and do the best you can. God will help. Jesus had many conversations with Luisa explaining suffering. In one interesting passage, Luisa described how she saw a person suffering, and Jesus told her what to say to encourage the woman. These words should encourage you too. Tell her that in the act in which she feels as though dogged by persecution, by punctures, by sufferings, she should think that I am present with her, and that whatever she suffers she can use to heal and medicate my wounds. This is a great honor that I give her, by giving her myself, the medicine to medicate my own wounds. Many souls in purgatory were amazed when they heard Jesus explaining this to Luisa. Fortunate are all of you on earth to receive so many sublime teachings, that you acquire the merits to medicate a God which surpasses all other merits in merit, and your glory will be distinct from the others, as is heaven from the earth. Oh, if only we had received these teachings, how many riches we would have acquired, which now we do not have. As difficult as it may be to give your fear, do not waste your precious opportunity to medicate God with your sufferings. The souls of purgatory would love to be in your shoes. If it takes you a while to fully understand suffering, do not feel bad. Even many Christian denominations have failed to grasp the power of suffering and preach words denouncing it as unnecessary. Suffering is such a contradiction that Satan himself, with his angelic intelligence, could not fully understand it. Luisa described a time when a demon was threatening to physically harm her. Instead of cowering at the threat of suffering, Luisa encouraged the demon to go find a stick to beat her. Each drop of blood I shed will be one more proof of love, of reparation, and of glory which I intend to give to my God. After she said this, Luisa heard the devil discussing her with other demons. It is useless for us to go back. Why should we beat her, if this must serve to harm us, and as a loss for us? It is good to make suffer one who does not want to suffer, because he would offend God. But if one wants to suffer, we would do harm to ourselves with our own hands. With this, the demons left Luisa. Remember, if Satan had fully understood the power of sacrificial suffering 2,000 years ago, he would not have instigated Jesus' death, the event that opened heaven for all of us. No matter how long it takes, a soul must grasp the value of suffering to progress further along the journey into the divine will. These are Jesus' words to Luisa. My daughter, among the many titles the cross has, it has the title of Feast Day, because when one receives a gift, what happens? One makes feast, rejoices, and is more content. Now, since the cross is the most precious, the noblest gift, and is given by the greatest and most unique persons that exist, it is more pleasing and brings more feast, more gladness than all other gifts. If you ever run across a person with the gift of the divine will who is celebrating a suffering, there is a good chance you have met someone who understands suffering and is well on the way to being at home in the divine will. Even though suffering is a part of the life of a soul with the gift, suffering is not what the divine will is all about. Suffering makes reparation for sin, including the original sin that caused the fall of man. The gift of living in the divine will was given to take us back before the fall and restore us to God's original plan. God did not create us to suffer. He created us for His and our mutual love and enjoyment. He created us for heaven. For this reason, Jesus told Luisa that for the souls living in the divine will, even suffering will disappear, because living in the divine will is more than suffering. Here is one of Jesus' many descriptions of life in the divine will. So, by possessing the divine life, everything is holy, everything is sacred. The hardships end. The inclinations to evil do not exist anymore. At what point in the journey will suffering disappear? There is no single answer to this question, because suffering will disappear according to the plan God has for each individual and the person's cooperation. But the sheer number of Luisa's passages dealing with the topic of suffering makes one point very clear. Persevering in gaining knowledge about suffering and putting it into practice are likely factors in suffering disappearing. Souls in the divine will are working towards heaven on earth. In heaven there is no suffering, but until you reach that point, you must face your crosses with courage and understanding. Jesus told Luisa, "With words, there are many who want to suffer, but with deeds they run away when one pain oppresses them." Do not run from your crosses. Running only delays your progress on the road home. The crosses planned for you need to come one way or another, and Jesus will make sure you receive them. Before you enter the fullness of heaven on earth, you have to have everything you need to look just like Him, including a share in His sufferings. Along with the value of suffering, there is another difficult truth which must be embraced in order to move deeper into the divine will: the understanding that we are nothing. In order to fully grasp and accept this truth, you must go from seeing yourself as a person to realizing your nothingness. This is not going to happen overnight. It will take time and maybe some intermediate steps for you to get there. Forgetting self is definitely an important intermediate step. To forget about yourself, Jesus told Luisa to go about the day as if it was His day and not hers. Up until now, we have been taught by the church to hold Jesus' hand throughout the day because He's always with us. But Jesus is taking us beyond this with His words to Luisa. He wants us to actually let go of His hand and disappear inside Him, while He moves in our movement, speaks in our voice, and all the other things. Our day is now His day, with us just keeping Him company. With forgetting of self, you have now arrived at nothingness. But with forgetting of self, you have not arrived at nothingness, but you are a step closer. The next step is a tough one too, recognizing that God is everything. Look around you. Everything you see is God. Hundreds of passages in Luisa's volumes discuss the truth that all creation, including man, is part of God's humanity in the second person of the Trinity. Read and reread these passages. When you are finally able to say, God is everything, and believe it with all your heart, you will be that much closer to nothingness and to the divine will reigning in you.